Hi, my name's Matt Austin from Soda RC Products, and in this video we're going to introduce position sensitive damping to our first basher. What we have in front of us is a Team Corelli Kagama limited edition. It's not a review of the vehicle itself, but I must say this thing is a beast. It's huge. For those people who race 1/8, even compared to say a Truggy, this thing is just bigger again. And my normal 1/8, this thing is just so much bigger. All right, I can sort of I can see the appeal of why you tear up and down ovals and skate parks and what have you with these things. They're just they look like a lot of fun. I do actually have a Traxxas UDR, but it's not quite this. This thing is really cool, and it's well made. Again, not a review. 50-50 weight distribution, front rear. 50-50 almost left right as well. It is really well balanced. This came factory with a 1000 CST oil. The site says it's a 6x1.3. They're actually an 8x1.2. Very similar, so they should have the same sort of damping feel. But the rear, a little bit doughy. So if you were sort of wanting to run this in a park or something, on the road, this would probably be okay. But you can just see here it's lifting off the ground. It's just on the front, it's more responsive, but there's still a lot of damping with that 1000 CST with that piston configuration. It is heavy, so this would be geared for, again, a sort of like an asphalt, high grip. The handling wouldn't quite be as agile as you would if you went with a lower viscosity oil. Very few 1/8 racers would be putting 1000 in their buggies to go racing around a track. And you guys should be able to handle, as I said, 50-50 weight distribution, thereabouts. It is pretty good. This is actually well set up to handle well. Oh, that already hit. Okay, we didn't go too far, even with 1000 CST. That's a bit better. I'll try it. You can see, you can hear that's bouncing. Despite being so thick oil, it still doesn't necessarily support. The motion ratio on the front to the rear, it's got a higher tension spring, so there's a little bit of an imbalance, so it tends to be a bit bottom out on the front more than the rear. But the rear itself is doughy, so it's a sort of it's a strange mix. If anything, I would probably either get a softer spring for the front or a stronger spring for the rear, just to sort of just balance that out just a little bit more, as well as at least 100 CST more in the front than the rear. In theory, the rear should react a bit quicker than the front, and here you can see it's just the rear is a lot slower, and that will tend to just bog down. Be great for sort of flying off on an asphalt, when it does pitch backwards. But let's see what we can do with the off-road suggested setting. We'll put that in next and see how that fares. We've just replaced the shock oil. As I said previous, we had 1000 each at each end. We've gone with the Team Corelli, the off-road suggestion, which is 600 CST at the front. They say CPS, centre poise. We'll just assume it's centre stokes. Same for this. And it's a 500 CST in the rear. Immediately, it is a lot more responsive. Still a little bit sort of doughy in the back. Looking at their site, the springs provided, they say these are their hardest springs. But again, I would look at probably softer there perhaps. But again, this is a basher, I guess. So most of the forces, when you're changing the angle, it'll be the front that's copying most of the the abuse. So maybe that's the rationale. It's not necessarily something you're going to put druggy tyres on and go racing, but with the right driver, I reckon it'll go pretty well. Anyway, it is better. So again, 600, 500, the balance is a bit better. It's not. It's keeping up well, but where this now provides a bit more handling through roll, you get more grip. So it is better for off-road. Once you hit the hard stuff or you hit the jumps, you're just not going to get the same support. So we're already hitting. I think we were about here. Couldn't see my head on the first one, but it is a lot. You get less damping naturally. Ouch. I'll try that. I'm not sure what's hitting first, but yeah, it's not. It is a heavy car, heavy truck. I think it's about 1.6 kilos per corner. This has a battery in it, full battery, so 2 3S batteries. So it's fully kitted, ready to rock and roll. But is it underdamped in terms of piston size? Absolutely not. 16 mils is perfect. You don't need to go big bore for these. I would possibly even argue our 1/8 little buggies are potentially oversized. But anyway, that's another topic again for another day. Good handling, but we can do better. I'll be back in a minute with the solution. Okay, we've gone through the 2 Team Corelli suggested settings of the 3 available. Factory setting, 1000 CST, both ends, with their 8x1.2 pistons, and that would be a good asphalt setting or a high grip setting. If you're running this thing in a car park or something like that, that would be great, and doing jumps. Then you have an off-road setting. So if you go from your car park to your off-road, then they're suggesting you need a 600 and a 500. I would probably tend to suggest say a 600 and a 400 perhaps, but that's what they're setting, and they've said, and that will give you more compliance for your bumps. So when you hit your bumps, it's not just going to the dampers won't just load up, and you're sort of just skipping over everything. You're actually using the suspension, which is what it's there for. You've got all this lovely travel. You don't want to just be go-karting over everything. So 1000 CST if you want to be a go-kart in a sense, or big jumps, but then you're going to lighten up the fluid for a true sort of bashing off-road type of setting. If we adopt the position sensitive, we can have a bit of both. And again, this is Fox shocks, Bilstein, King shocks, Multimatic, who also do F1. Their off-road version of their technology is a position sensitive shock, and the benefit of position sensitive is it can then cater for a nice compliant ride in the middle, and then on the extreme ends, both in a top out to control that damper movement, and in the bottom out, they can then load up differently to just to prevent the sprung mass from sort of hitting the ground a lot. And again, that's why all your full-size rally cars, your trophy trucks, rally raid cars, the Dakar runners, they're using a shock of this type. They're not just using a standard shock. This is the sort of technology they're employing in most cases. So what is this going to do? Well, as you can see, we've got this is a 2500. No, 2000, sorry, 1500 here. So we've got 2000 diff oil, which can be shock oil, and a 1500. And even despite it being such a thick oil, we still get nice movement in the middle. And we have a rebound control on this, so the rebound's not too bad. Still a little bit in the middle, in the ride zone. It's it's faster, although it's still got that doughy feeling, particularly when it gets into the heavier zones. But that's the beauty of this. You're still going to be fast. So you've effectively got an off-road setting and your factory setting in the one shock. So nice and compliant off-road, you'll hit the bumps, but then when you get to a jump, you can, and I think we were there with the 1000, even lower, we were hitting. And you can see there, it is doing that comfortably. The way the flow works, these will not fade anywhere near. You can absolutely smash these. The way the flow works, it's a lower velocity, but still provides that same damping, and it just won't fade. It tends to it mitigates a lot of the aeration issues you get with the standard piston, because it's not sucking that air from the bottom. It's actually it's sort of like a force forward and return loop, and that provides just a lot of these sort of anti-fade characteristics. So you come for the position sensitive and you sort of stay for the fade characteristics. But we can load this up now. This is a lot higher, I think, than the 1000. So now, yeah, I think I was there for 1000. That's going to do that all day. But no, I think we hit then. So we're not massive amounts over, but you can load it up even more if you wish. These shock mounts are unbelievably thick, so whether you can remove them or not, don't know. Challenge on, but you may not remove those. But I think the screws might be the fuse there. But as far as these, it's a 0.8 mil thick around, and that's actually backing onto the actual your actual damper itself. So in effect, you've sort of almost doubled the thickness of your shock. And on this flat side, the piston is made in a way that it's not actually touching the flat, though the flat is actually about 1.1 millimeters thick. So you are not going to compromise this sleeve. It's been designed to take an absolute beating. The piston will be slightly thicker for the bashers. Just as an insurance, I don't, because it is smaller and it's got a heavy duty washer. The overhang is a lot less than a standard piston, but just to make it completely basher proof, we'll add that in. It's not really a huge difference anyway. On the topic, Team Corelli 16 mil bores. The beauty of this Kagama, why did I go with Kagama? Because there are a lot of models that use this particular shock package. So it's not just Kagama, there's a few others which I'll list, which this will then be able to be fitted to. I'm also looking at the Traxxas 16 mil bores, as well as the X-Max when I get a hold of one, because I do need them to measure. This one, it did actually need a fair bit of measurement at the front. The rear was okay, but the front was a bit of attention was needed to get that right. So you can't chance these to get them right. Then the armour as well. So the armour's looking pretty good. They've got a few 16 mil shocks as well, so I'll certainly be looking at the armour. So armour and Traxxas. I'm not familiar with all the basher ranges out there, but they're certainly the two on my target list if this goes well. But wait and see. Anyway, pre-orders will be open for this. Any questions though, feel free to leave a comment or drop me an email. Thanks for watching. Bye.